routine, we are doing some activities. We as entrepreneurs in our daily routine, we are doing some activities for business development or for expansion. So while doing so, we have to face some of the risks, which are either calculated business risks, which are somewhat are in your control, and there are some risks which are beyond your control. Therefore, in today's webinar, we will discuss role of insurance in risk management with possible solutions. All the participants are requested to put their question in Q&A chat box. Those questions will be answered at end of the session. So on this note, I will ask Pramod sir to take us ahead on this very informative discussion. Over to you, Pramod sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prasad. A very warm welcome to all the wonderful audience here who have made it possible on a Saturday. We'll try to keep it as interesting as possible and at the same time informative as well. Very briefly about me, I've been in the insurance business for the last 20 years, advising corporates on various business insurance requirements, including claims management, together with my team. I represent InsuranceManager.com. InsuranceManager.com is an advisory company on insurance and risk management. We are in the business since 2005. We are currently servicing around 250 corporates for their various insurance requirements, including employee benefits, property, marine liability, and credit insurance. We have dedicated teams in-house for underwriting, claims, and policy operations. Today, we are here to discuss about our newest offering, also Plassure. Plassure is an insurance and risk management practice exclusively catering to the plastics and allied manufacturing company. So here, with our experience of more than 15 years in serving the industry, with our experience, we have come out with a small dossier on what kind of risk the business is exposed to, which are the assets which are near and dear to the business owners, which are productive assets, which are vulnerable to risk, and what are the possible solutions for these risks. Right. So as I told you, this is a very specialist webinar for manufacturing companies which use plastics as raw material. The application of this industry may be right from pipes and fittings to woven sacks, pens and stationeries, master batches, molded furniture, so on and so forth. The idea to devise a specialist product package was also because of the challenges which we had seen in our experience of serving these industry in the last 15 years. So I'll tell you what prompted us to develop and devise this product. There are 5 challenges typically which prompted us to get into this zone. First was, of course, there is no comprehensive cover available for the industry. It's a standard fire and special, which is a traditional product available. The premium after the IRB regulation had gone up substantially high, making it unviable for some business owners to continue their insurance products. Third, even after payment of higher premium, the claims in this sector was not at all a wow factor. In fact, most of the claims which have been settled are stress settlements. So here we have devised how we can simplify the claims for business owners. So at the time of any eventuality, they get not only the amount, the value of the claim, but also the right value of the claim. Then a fourth important point is, because these businesses are mostly SME, MSMEs, what are the property loss prevention programs which we can help, like electrical fire safety audits and thermographies, which not only help improve their risk, but also at the same time, because of improved risk, will also attract quality insurance companies, which is our 5th proposition. Quality insurance companies is always a challenge in this insurance companies. When I say quality, AAA, AA rated insurance companies, which have got ability to pay the claims, willingness to pay the claims. Because most of the times we have seen these claims handled by public sector insurance companies, which doesn't have not even the ability nor the willingness, and the surveyors are all have made the entire industry and the claim settlement process very messed up. So here, these are the 5 things which we intend to solve through Plassure, and we'll continue to do these knowledge sharing sessions which are addressed to business owners and decision makers in corporates for insurance business, which will help them take informed decision making what are the new products, what are the regulation changes which will impact their insurance, whether, so this is how, and whether we, through these insurance solutions, they can get into unknown territories and help them expand their business operations. Right. So this is a very brief synopsis of what we are going to discuss. Today's agenda is basically exposing the assets which are near and dear to the business owners. Assets are physical assets. Assets are also employees. Both of them contribute to the productivity of the organization. So here today we'll talk about what are the exposures of risk to these assets, and what are the solutions in form of insurance available for these near and dear assets if contracted with the risk. So we'll blow out the risk and possible solutions. Then point number 4 is our unique offerings with solutions. So we have devised certain products in this category, like of course Plassure, which I've already briefed you. The point number 6 is the IMT care, which intends to take care of so Plassure is related to the factory assets. IMT care is related to the employee health and safety insurance. And then point number 7 is the 360-degree business guard, which is basically a package product, all types of solutions combined under one single roof, which not only gives administrative convenience, but at the same time, there's substantial premium savings because this is a package product, and also ensure that no risk is left uninsured. Then we'll talk briefly about our claims experience in the plastic segment. We have been serving the industry for last 15 years, and we have handled quite a few claims, including some of the biggest claims in the industry. And we'll just brief you about those claims. And finally, we'll talk about our company, InsuranceManager, in brief. So this is about us. We are in the business since 2005. We are currently servicing 250 plus corporates, which shows the kind of spread we have among the corporates and their businesses insurance. Similarly, claim disposal ratio is an enviable 99.3. Of course, that's one of the reasons that we have been able to retain all our clients year on year. 10,000 claims, that is what we have settled. We settle annually. This is including health, accident, property, marine liability, dedicated health claims team, which is one of our USPs, and 93% claim retention ratio, of course, which is very much, which is a byproduct of the service or the engagement or the expectations match which we do for the business owners so that they retain us year on year. So this is our mantra, which we very strongly believe. When we work with corporates, our entire team works towards this mantra, which is expose, explore, and efficient. Our experienced professionals work with business to expose the risk and review the existing mitigation strategies. Once we have exposed the risk to the business owner, then we try, with their consensus, try and find out what are the possible solutions in form of insurance products. And third, of course, is the efficient claims management, which talks about administratively policies delivery on time, but most importantly, claims, which is the moment of truth, whether as an organization we are able to deliver those claims right and at the right time. So when I say right, I mean in terms of value, and also timing is whether these claims are settled. So this is what we ensure through our mantra, which we very strongly and believe in. Okay, so here is the start of the presentation, the main content. Okay, there's a poll question also popped up. Right. So I would request you to participate in this poll. Very interesting question which has popped up. What is the business risk most entrepreneurs are concerned of amongst all? So I request you to participate because, of course, we'll get a perspective. We have done a survey also recently. In fact, the Boston Consulting Group did a survey very recently. In fact, the report of that survey is also published as a graph chart on the bottom of the PPT, which I'll take you. So as you participate, I take you through the presentation. So if you see on the left-hand side, there's a matrix which talks about what are the risks which the business are, what are the assets which are near and dear. So if you see here, the first point is which is the most they are common, and first is the factory assets. So when I say factory assets, what are exposed in factory? The exposure is to the building, to plant and machinery and stocks. There is an administration building in the factory which has all the office assets like your computers, furniture, fixtures, and stationaries. Then I go to the next. So I'll take you in detail about all of these assets which are exposed and what are the possible solutions. But here in the first, we just wanted to briefly come on the same page as far as our intention is concerned on exposing of the assets which are exposed to risk, right? Second is the business interruption risk, which is nothing but stoppage of production. So if tomorrow, due to any untoward incident like fire or a flood, there's a stoppage of production, it will result into there's a lot of fixed expenses which you keep on incurring. I'll take you through the details. So this is the second risk. Then there's the risk of goods and machinery being in transit. When you purchase goods, when you sell goods, there's a movement of goods which happen on the roads on these trucks and loaded on containers or in vessels. So this is the third risk which we have highlighted. The fourth risk is the employee health and safety risk, which is common, of course, for employees who are on your payroll, who do administrative, managerial, supervisory, sales, and other functions. And then there are people who are on the shop floor, who are vulnerable to accident, diseases. So what are the risks? We'll take you, as I told you, but these are, again, employee health and safety is again one of the prime areas of concern for business owners where there's a vulnerability. Then I go to the next point, which is the payment receivable. So I very strongly believe that making a great product and marketing and selling it in the market is that all within your control as business owners. But whether the payment comes to you on time, especially when you work across geographies, and when there are risk of buyers' credit profile, similarly, there can be a political risk, especially when you're exporting to countries which have problems or maybe at war risk. So this is the payment receivable risk. Then I go to something new, which is a trend of the last 2-3 years, especially after COVID. India has seen a lot of cyber attacks, not only on service companies, but manufacturing companies. So here we talk about cyber fraud risk. A lot of things are happening digitally, but this digitalization is also creating some sort of vulnerability on the side of business processes, which are exposed to risk. And there are hackers, there are people who are trying to exploit this situation. We'll talk about this in detail. And then is the defective product, which is if a product, a batch goes wrong, if there's any error, omission, negligence, or a defective product because of raw material or man-made error. So we'll talk about those kind of risk also. And as I was talking to you, the BCG, Boston Consulting Group, had done a business survey among business owners. And they had, on a matrix, they have been able to plot this on a graph, what kind of risk and what are the possible exposures perception. So cyber fraud is something which is going, which is at the minds of a lot of business owners. And this is something which many companies have experienced. In fact, it is said that 3 in 1 company in manufacturing in India have been gone through a cyber attack, whether it is fraudulent fund transfer or ransomware, so on and so forth. And payment receivables, of course, which is the credit risk, was also one of the prime concerns, especially after COVID, where a lot of people wanted to hold on to cash and not pay people on time. Of course, this is the situation is getting much better now. Right. So with this, I go to the next slide. I'll take you all through all of these 6 points, 7 points in detail in the coming slides. Before that, yes, this is again a very important aspect here, which we are trying to, right, again, a poll question. The transfer of risk means eliminates the possibility of a misfortune. Okay, very interesting question. So before that, guys, I just want to make you, I'll answer the poll question here itself. So basically what we are trying to ask you, the risk management. Oh, it's an even Steven, true and false, both 50%. Right. Okay, I'll clarify here. So the risk management is, what is the risk management? Risk management is an activity through insurance wherein you identify certain risk, some risk which the business owner feels that they can put a dent on their balance sheet. You would not like to take such risk, and you would like to transfer this risk. Transfer this risk to insurance companies by way of insurance, which is basically, as you may all be aware, that insurance works on law of probability, which is they collect the premium from 100 odd business owners, factory insurance premium, and which is good enough to pay off for 1 or 2 claims which may come during the year. So this is how the risk transfer is done from business to insurance companies. But the question asked whether when you transfer the risk, whether it will eliminate the possibility of any misfortune. So the answer is no. It cannot eliminate the possibility of a misfortune. It can only transfer the misfortune from your balance sheet dent or loss to the insurance companies. And insurance companies are very well prepared to handle such risk because they are, of course, into the same business. So this is how risk management works through insurance. Right, next slide. Right. So here we come to the first slide of the on the assets. What are the exposures, risk, and what are the solutions? So here, if you can see clearly what is exposed. So we have this slide is basically a 3-layer slide. In first part, we are exposing what are the risks which are exposed to businesses. Like, for example, you have a factory or an office asset which may consist of building, plant machinery, stocks, and other furniture, fixtures, and fittings, including your office assets. So this is something which the business assets are. These are the assets which are near and dear to the business because these are productive assets. Tomorrow, if something happens to these assets, it can bring about loss of productivity, which in turn can bring losses to the organization. And of course, there will be an erosion of wealth if there's any loss to these assets. So these assets are exposed to what kind of risk? Okay, so here is the risk. There is a risk that tomorrow there can be a fire, flood, earthquake. There can be breakdown of machines. So fire, flood, and earthquake are mostly act of God perils. Breakdown of machines can happen. Similarly, there can be simple risk like burglary and theft, especially of stocks. And also, if there's any untoward incident tomorrow of a bigger magnitude like a flood, can also bring possibly a business interruption. Business interruption is nothing but, as we saw, it is a stoppage of production. But whenever there is a stoppage of production, you intend not only to lose out on the profit which you must have made in that period for which the factory is non-operational, but also there are certain fixed costs which you keep on incurring irrespective of whether the factory is operational or not. So this is a huge cost, and especially when the factory is not working, there is no revenue. Such kind of fixed cost will ensure that the business cannot go back to the zone. Even if the business, even if the reinstatement is done, the operations of again starting the operations would be very, very difficult. So now, as I told you, what are the possible solutions? So here we are trying to figure out what are the solutions here. So it can start from simple solutions as fire insurance, which is very popularly known as in the Indian market. But the technical name is Standard Fire and Special Perils Policy, which covers fire and other 12 perils like your storm, flood, riot, strikes, and other causes of loss like impact, damage, and all. And there's an advanced version of fire policy also available in the Indian market called as the Industrial All Risk Policy. Then there's loss of profit policy, which is available, and machinery breakdown, especially covers any electrical, mechanical, or accidental breakdown of machines. So the cost of reinstating that is covered. Similarly, burglary and theft, especially of vulnerable items, high value items like stocks, can be taken. So these are the solutions, and the solution providers in the plastic industry are companies like Tata AIG, ICICI Lombard, and New India. Plus there are a couple of other players also, depending upon the sum insured of the risk, depending upon the housekeeping and facilities, and also the other firefighting and safety facilities, plus the kind of cover and the location. Depending on that, the insurance companies may release the premium, which can be done on specific. Once you give us the request, we can tell you which is the most suited insurer for you. Of course, we will give you quote comparisons and options. But yes, these are the key players in this segment. With this, I go to the second slide of the presentation, which is goods in transit risk. Again, a very, very important risk for business owners, especially. So what is exposed here? Again, sorry. Right. I just wanted to tell you, all you guys attending here, if you have any questions, you can type in the Q&A box, and we'll be happy to take these questions at the end of the session. So that we've got a couple of questions already. Right. Thank you. Right. So what is exposed here? The exposure is about your goods, which can be your cargo, your capital goods like your machineries, and what is the risk they are exposed to. So the risk is any cargo, especially your goods, your raw material, your finished goods. So what happens is you may be procuring a lot of various kinds of raw materials for processing, and similarly there's an outward journey of a lot of finished products moving out from your factory or your warehouse locations, or maybe even for job work locations. So there's a transit risk which is involved, and whenever there's a transit, there can be fire, there can be accident, there can be overturning of the vehicles like trucks, derailment when it is going on trains. Agar gadi, jaise we saw the recent Odisha train tragedy. There can be theft and shortage, especially agar if it is not a full load truck, but this cannot be discarded even in FCL containers, because we have seen claims of shortage in seal intact containers also. A lot of guys may be knowing, especially from the supply chain team, that these, even though they are locked and sealed, the hinges of the containers can be opened, and there are goods, cargo which is stolen, and then again the hinges are again fixed. But when they are opened at the buyer's warehouse, they realize that there is substantial shortage. So as people try and find out ways and means to steal, insurance companies have also accordingly revised their wordings and wordings, which ensures that claims become payable. Of course, we'll talk to you in detail about marine insurance and the coverages and claims process in our next webinar. But again, coming back to the point here, pilferage, which is a skillful theft. General average claims, wherein if there's a vessel which is carrying 100 containers, and tomorrow for some reason the captain of the vessel has to discard a couple of containers to ensure that the vessel keeps floated. So those containers which are discarded, their value will be made good by the other 100 people on the board, which is called as general average claims. Similarly, there is a risk of over-dimensional cargo, especially this is applicable for capital goods and heavy machineries, where the machinery cannot be containerized, and there is always a risk of heavy and oversized cargo on flat track containers or open containers. We have seen a lot of claims in this segment, and especially because these are of very, very high value, and because they are very fragile and very their tonnage is also very heavy. We have seen a lot of claims in this segment already. So these are the risks. And what are the solutions? Of course, the solutions are available. Marine, which is one of the oldest product in the insurance, dates back to 1850s. So there's a cargo insurance policy available which can take care of your export risk, which is import risk, procurement, domestic sales, domestic purchases. In fact, you see at the bottom, there's a marine sales turnover policy which is available, which can take care of your 360-degree supply chain risk, which is your purchases, your sales, imports, exports, your capital goods, your containers, your job work movement into interdepot movement. So one policy for all your transit supply chain risk. Very highly recommended this policy. Again, on the insurers which have a very strong hold in terms of policy coverage and claims process, we recommend here Tata AIG, ICICI Lombard. These are the few companies which are industry leaders with close to 17-18% of market share each. Their market share is predominantly because of their understanding of the subject and also the way they handle and manage claims. So, right. So this is about goods in transit risk. If you have any questions, please. Right. Okay. So with this, I go to the next slide on the business risk. Very, very important these days. In fact, employee health and safety. So when I say employee health and safety, who are exposed, employees are the, in fact, primary assets. I feel most important assets are of the organization. Employees, factory, contractual employees, all can be vulnerable or susceptible to risk. What kind of risk? So there can be any injury or disease which results into hospitalization, which can bring about financial loss or some amount of payment to be done to the hospitals for treatment. There can be death or disability of employees, especially at the work site. There's a compensation which would require to be paid in case of any eventuality. Even after taking a lot of precautions and all advisories, there's a possibility that something someday may go wrong, and insurance is for that, right? It is not for something which is regular. So, but this can happen with anyone. And also one of the other aspects apart from the health and safety is it's a very strong retention tool, especially for business owners, because a lot of employees check what kind of benefits are being given with the organization. And I personally recommend this to stay relevant and competitive in the market. That one of the best designed employee health insurance policies, benefit policies should be designed, including the health accident policies, which will ensure that the employees are happy and the productivity goes up for the organization. Right. So what are the solutions available here? We have got policies which can take care of hospitalization expenses due to injury and disease, called as the group health insurance. For compensation policies, we have group personal accident policy. Similarly, there is employer liability policy and workman compensation, mostly taken for contractual and shop floor employees for any death and disability due to accident. Even there's a provision to cover the medical expenses due to accident under the policy. So these are the few solutions available. I'm not dwelling much into detail about each of these products, which we will be covering in our subsequent webinars, where we will have product. In fact, we have already done for fire insurance, Bharat Laghu Udyam. There's an upcoming webinar on a workman compensation. So we will talk more about those products and our USPs in detail in those webinars. Here we are just blowing out the general risk for business owners and businesses which business face. Okay, so here we go to the next slide, which is the defective product risk. A product can be defective because of some issues in the raw material or some man-made error, some defects, because of some error, omission, or negligence. And this can be applicable for both products and services. What is the risk? The risk is there's a defective product which goes out in the market, okay, and or a product which fails to deliver. Agar if such thing happens, there's always an associated cost involved with such failures or products or defective products, which can be not only to compensate for people who have suffered such losses because of bodily injury or property damage because of your defective product, but also there's a cost of recalling that product from the market, right? And it's a huge cost. Trust me. In fact, product recall is something which not many insurance companies are offering because of the high loss ratios with that segment, right? But whenever such thing happens, there's always a associated cost, which is a consequential loss of product failure, which is the product recall cost. Similarly, there can be lawsuits. If there's any lawsuit, there's a cost of defense. You'll have to hire a lawyer to address those notices which are brought against you. If any court or an arbitrator gives an award against your favor, that award amount can also be covered. It should be covered. It's a risk. Similarly, there can be fines and penalties by regulators or local authorities, which can also be covered, which is again a risk. So these risks, once I've blowed out, now what are the solutions which can take care of such kind of risk? The solutions are product liability, which covers your litigation cost, nothing but defense cost. Then there's the product recall cover. Similarly, there's a cover available for product guarantee financial loss. We'll dwell more into this in the in the coming webinars. But as I told you, all the risk here mentioned on the left-hand side can be covered as solutions in these products. And the industry leaders here are companies like Tata AIG, Lombard. In fact, there's Bajaj also, which is very strong here, and most of these companies who are underwriting liability products is because of their experience in the European and the US market. So their counterparts like AIG, Allianz, Lombard, Tokyo, they have globally seen a lot of claims because even though India may not be that litigious as far as lawsuits are concerned, but globally, if you see the US market, European market, especially when you export to those markets, it is imperative that you should have such product liability insurance in place, because it is not only about the cost of these risk, but liability claims are also about managing risk. When you export outside geographies, you may not know in those geography which is the lawyer who can help you in your product category to file a draft reply. So here the insurance companies comes to your rescue. With insurance companies, not only you get the amount of reimbursement for claims, but you have access to those defense lawyers, those counsels, public relations team, which tells you what kind of information should go out, product recall consultants. So this is a whole bouquet of services which come at your disposal with these kind of insurance products. So again, I tell you, liability claims is not about paying claims, but it is about managing those risks so that the injury which is already done or the loss which has already happened doesn't aggravate. Plus, of course, whatever has happened has to be reimbursed to the business so that the business can continue the operations. So that is the whole intention. So I go to the next slide. Right, cyber attack. Again, what is exposed? So this is something which off late has got a lot of attention of a lot of these unethical hackers which try to breach into the systems, especially of manufacturing companies who don't have robust systems, but their servers can be have been easily breached, taken control of. Similarly, there are a lot of machineries which are automated these days with IoTs, which can again be easily controlled. Similarly, a lot of these manufacturers, when they sell, a lot of business transactions or receivables come through NEFTs, RTGS, or fund transfers through international banks and companies. And these all create vulnerability. So this is all exposed, as I told you guys, data and system, your information, trade secrets, machineries which are automated, which can be controlled through breach of systems, electronic funds, either which are lying in your bank accounts where the passwords can be managed by these hackers and siphoning of funds can be done. Right. So I take you, what is the risk? Risk is, again, as I told you, hacking. Hacking is nothing but taking control of your systems unethically, then asking for ransomware demand. Okay, I will not release the access unless you pay us in bitcoins or any other currency which they ask. Normally it is bitcoins only. Then fraudulent fund transfer means taking control of your bank accounts using through password access and trying off to siphon off funds. We have already seen this in Cosmos Bank, where 73 crores of funds were siphoned off from Cosmos banks. And this is the story everywhere. Every fourth corporate we has some story on cyber breaches which has happened. So everyone will understand what kind of exposures and risk has already happened in the industry through these, and especially after the COVID, there's a huge jump in such kind of attacks. It can also bring a lot of reputational harm, business interruption, like for example, if the machineries are automated and if someone takes a control of the system, even for manufacturing companies, these machines cannot operate. These machines cannot operate, and the reason is very simple, because they have been controlled and the production have been stopped. So that is business interruption risk. Private confidential information like your patent, trademarks, copyrights, or any formulas can be accessed. Supply chain attack. We have seen even for companies like AP Moller, Merckx, recently the entire in the Nava Sheva and all, there's stoppage of, there's no movement, absolutely all the containers got stuck because AP Moller systems were hacked. So even bigger companies are hacked, so which have got great IT security and network policies and the best of antivirus, best of cyber security measures, still they get hacked. So that goes to speak about the vulnerability of small business owners, where these hackers can take control of and do wrong. So once I've told you about the risk, so what are the solutions? So there's a cyber liability insurance policy, which not only covers any liability risk, but also covers you for अगर tomorrow if it is identified that there was a loss, कि ये loss किस reason से हुआ, किस patch को update करने से ये आपका problem solve हो सकता है, that is called as forensic cost. That is also covered under the policy. Similarly, if someone takes control of the situation, does a fund transfer, or maybe, so that is also covered under the policy. Similarly, if someone breaches into your email security, changes the account details, NEFT account details of your bank, and sends an email with the trail mail thread reading that now you have to transfer the fund for last invoice in the new bank account. And the customer goes ahead and makes the payment because the mail has come from your email ID. Probably he may not ask you. And in fact, this is a claim which we have got settled to the tune of 23 lakhs for one of our clients in Mumbai itself, wherein the email security of our clients were breached and an email went to the client for transferring the funds in the new bank account. And that was a hacked email, and that was a fraud NEFT details. And we were not able to retrieve that money. And in fact, when the customer started following up for the overdue, it was realized that the payment was already done a week back. And but the payment had gone to the hacker's account, of course. So, but this kind of claims can also be covered under the policy, right? So this is cyber attack. Again, businesses, mostly manufacturing companies, are also vulnerable to employee and outside fraud. When I say what is exposed is stocks, cash, checks, securities, and electronic funds. What happens is normally the business owners sit in the corporate office, whereas the businesses are run at mostly faraway locations like Daman, Silvassa, or Raigad, like those industrial belt areas, which are normally managed by employees, key employees of the company, but old employees or disgruntled employees, and we have seen such kind of claims in the past. So what is the risk? The risk is fraudulent intention of employees. There can be sometimes collusion with third party, as in outsiders, or maybe your vendors can also fraud with you. It can be forgery. And what is the solution? The solution is crime insurance, credit card fraud cover, social engineering, impersonation cover. So these are few of the covers which are available. And most important aspect here of crime insurance is that it is covered from discovery period, which means, very simply, let me explain you. Suppose some fraud is already happening in your company and you are not aware of. So normally what happens is whoever is involved in does it in bits and pieces over a period of time. Okay. But over a period of time, the organization identifies that this fraud was done for the last 2-3 years. They have been siphoning off, or maybe doing dummy invoicing and taking out the material from the factory, or something in stocks. This policy will pay you claim on the day you discover that there is a loss which is happening to you. So even the residual or the past losses which must have happened before the policy, before taking the policy, is also covered under the policy. So that's one of the USP. Of course, companies are like Tata AIG, which is a very strong skill set on underwriting these policies and claims management. Lombard is also there. I think there is IFCO Tokyo also, which does such kind of insurances. Right. Thanks, guys. I take you to the last slide of the day, last slide on the product, which is payment receivables. Very important. Again, as I told you, payment receivables is account receivable, which is not coming to you. Either what is the risk? Risk is the buyer has gone insolvent, there's a delayed payment, or there's a political risk, like we have seen in Afghanistan, countries which were exporting to Afghanistan after the Taliban takeover. It was not possible for any remittances outside Afghanistan. In fact, we have seen a claim of around 50 lakhs here. Similarly, even if there's a protracted default, okay, there's a IMT care, okay. Right. So these are the risks, and what are the solutions, right? Solutions are credit insurance with discretionary credit limit, which is option available for you. Credit insurance not only helps you to cover your bad debts, but also when you expand in new geographies, you don't understand the market there, but you want to start business, but the customers are hell-bent on credit. So here you get the insurance companies backing, and they back you by giving you, by doing a credit check of your buyers, and whatever limits which you ask against these buyers, you get basis their assessment of the risk. Right, there's a credit insurance related poll which has popped up. And right, so who are the insurers or who are the reinsurers? So here there's no insurance company. There are companies like Kofas, Atreides, HCGC, everyone maybe, which is the Export Credit Guarantee Corporation of India, and thanks Smita, right, which is one of the top three. These are the top three reinsurers who operate in the Indian market for credit insurance policies. Thanks. With this. Also, we would like to highlight here, there's a new development here. So we have completed the business risk exposures and solutions. I'll very briefly talk to you about a new guideline which is effective April 23, which is applicable for all the manufacturing companies. So for sum insured above 50 crores, there's a discount provision now available. Now, thanks to the regulator, there are a lot of complaints which were going from business owners about the hardening of prices, tripling of the rates. The regulator has come up with the revised guidelines under IIB. So now, if you see on the left-hand side, if you have firefighting preparedness like extinguishers, hydrants, if there is multiple block unit, if the loss experience of there's no claim for last 3 years, you are entitled for close to 15% discount. If so, we can do this assessment once you send us the request, but this is applicable if all three fall in the place. But it is case to basis. We can do the underwriting once you send us the request. But again, there is one more development. There's an increment in the storm, tempest, flood, inundation rate, especially I mean, because of the cyclones like Taukate in the past and now Bijorpai, so there's increase of rates here on STFI rates for manufacturing units, and for less than sum insured 50 crores at single location. Now terrorism, which was earlier a mandatory cover, is an optional cover. So this will also bring some relief to businesses, because the premium, again, mostly businesses don't buy terrorism cover for manufacturing units at least. And here at least they have an option now to pick and choose. Earlier that option was not available. So this is the new development we thought of highlighting, because knowledge sharing programs, we normally not only highlight you about the business exposures, but also about the new products, new trends, and new regulations from the regulator, which impacts businesses and their ratings and practices, right? With this, I go to the next slide. Right. Once I've highlighted the risk, I would also like to very briefly take you through our three unique products, which we have devised with our experience of last many years. IMT Care, it's basically employee health and wellness mobile app, which is basically a much broader than the group health accident term insurance policy. It incorporates all the product features, but apart from that, there are other features also embedded. I'll take you through one slide on that. Plassure is a 360-degree risk management and insurance practice, especially catering to the plastic and allied. So a very unique and exclusive product to solve the challenges of plastic industry. And the third product is the Business Guard policy, which is basically a package product combining all the business risk solutions in one single product. So administratively convenient, pricing wise competitive, and ensures that no risk is left out. Right, guys. So Plassure, insurance for plastic industry, very briefly, we have already done a very detailed webinar on Plassure in the past, but I will just take you only through one slide. Our USPs here are, as I told you, this is applicable for manufacturing companies which use plastics as raw material. Our USPs are our gap analysis, wherein we try to identify, once you have given the policy copies to us, most of the businesses will have policies, but so if there's any error, omission of any flaws, what are the kind of add-on covers should be there in the policy, whether your premium ratings are right, whether there's any provision for discounting. So a very detailed gap analysis report is presented to you on not only on the current policy, but about the other business risk you are exposed to. Then the other USP is our add-on covers under the policy. Like we have 50 plus industry relevant add-on covers, including static charge, spontaneous combustion, omission to insure, or waiver of subrogation, like that. So these are the few add-on covers, not few, I think it's more than, it's like 50 add-on covers which we give along with our main policy, which ensures that your claims are maximized. So these add-on covers don't come at any additional cost, but ensures your satisfaction, your claim settlements are maximized. And then most important is the valuation services. So many businesses take insurance, either we have seen policies taken on WDV, the right way, closest right way can be gross block, but even gross block for older plants or plants which have second-hand machineries or transferred from other units will not suffice the requirement. So here we help you in getting the valuation done on reinstatement value. We have panel of surveyors on our IDA certified valuers and who can help you give proper valuation reports with documented annexures, which can become the basis of your insurance, which will ensure that you get the optimum claim at the time of settlement or at the time of loss. And next is the property loss prevention program, which is again something very exclusive which we do. Electrical fire safety audit. These are all audits which we do to identify electrical, whether the electrical fittings or the installations are as per the industrial, and if there is any deviation, we give you a detailed report. Plus we do thermography. Thermography are infrared cameras which can identify those red hotspots. So these are the few things which we do apart in the property loss prevention, which have got a great traction from business owners. Similarly, we also do energy efficiency audit. All these things not only help you improve the risk, but at the same time ensures that you insure on optimum value. You also get quality insurance companies. When I say quality insurance, AA, AAA rated insurance companies, which have got great balance sheets, great ability to pay off claims. Your risk is improved, you get quality, you insure at the right value, which, and plus with our add-on covers and gap analysis, we correct the policy to a lot of extent. Plus our simplified claims management helps you get your right at the time of claim. So this is what Plassure does. Business Guard, I told you, this is a combination of all the products like fire, burglary, loss of profit under one single banner, which is termed as 360-degree Business Guard. All you have the options to cover all this under one single policy. IMT Care, right? As I told you, IMT Care is for employee health and wellness. Right, there's a new poll which has popped up. IMT Care application given to policy holders of group health, group accident. Okay, right. Please participate because we would like to know your feedback or what do you think about those questions. Right, coming back to the presentation, group health, accident and term. Of course, there's a provision to cover the health, pre-existing disease. ये तो आपको मालूम ही होगा, group insurance cover करती है. But we have seen still a lot of manufacturing companies not insuring or not taking health and accident policies. Mostly we have seen at the max the workman compensation in place. But health and accident, very important, especially for your payroll employees, even for shop floor employees for that matter, because workman compensation doesn't cover you for any disease due to any hospitalization due to diseases. So here you have provision to cover that. Maternity can also be covered. We have OPD and dental plans, corporate buffer, and of course, all hospitalization settlements are done on cashless. The unique features in the IMT Care app is free doctor consultation, dental consultation. Policies can be viewed on the mobile app. So the health cards can be downloaded through the app. Normally, earlier there were physical cards, now not required. It can be e-cards, which are digitized. Discounted health checkups are available if you wish to buy for your family. And the customer support is available. Our team is ready, willing to help you for any eventuality, especially hospitalizations and approvals. Right. Right. So this is a matter of great pride for us, for the clients which we are servicing in the industry. So these are all clients from plastic industry, clients from cable tie manufacturers, food packaging. We have got writing instruments and stationery. We have got companies in master batches. We have film manufacturing. We have woven sacks. We have dyes and molds companies. So a plethora of clients which are currently housewares and tableware is also there. Right. Thank you. Next slide. So these are the few insurance companies we are currently tied up with. Not few. In fact, we are tied up with all 33, but we work selectively with almost 10 to 12 insurance companies where we do decent volumes of business with them. And at the same time, expect great pricing, great coverage, and great claim settlement process for our clients. Right. Because of limited time, we have to wind off by 12 o'clock. This is a very important slide because claims is the moment of truth. And we have seen a lot of claims in our experience in handling and managing claims. I'll not be able to take you because we will be doing a very detailed webinar on claims in the plastic industry separately. But to just brief you, we have seen one claim of more than around 17 crores in a plastic manufacturing company. The claim was due to short circuiting, resulting into a total loss because it was a single block unit. There was a general average claim because there's a vessel called Inter Asia Catalyst, which got engulfed in fire. So the claim was around 1 crore 48 lakhs. Normally, you don't see such huge claims in marine, but this claim was also settled to the satisfaction of the client. Sorry, there was mold mildew fungus claim in one of the woven sacks manufacturers dispatches to US. This was basically because of the water content, moisture content in the pallets which were packed. We have seen one claim in truck due to goods damage in truck due to fire in transit claim, which is a very common claim. There, we have seen one couple of workmen or accident claims also in the industry, because two sales executive of writing instrument manufacturers were traveling in a faraway place on a bike, and both of them unfortunately fell off from the flyover and both died on the spot. The claim was settled for around 16,50,000. We have seen for a cable tie manufacturer of laser marking machine breakdown claim, that claim also got settled. We have seen a hijack claim for one of the plastic container manufacturing companies. The entire 25 lakhs ka full truckload in somewhere near Orissa got hijacked by miscreants. We have seen a claim of static charge spontaneous combustion also in fire policies. Claim was settled. Accidental damage for a machinery, again that was also around 3 lakh claim. Cyclone claims of Takate for around 22.75. So these are the claims. We will be happy, in fact, to discuss about any of your claims also. If you have any pending claims, we have a full-fledged team. We can help you consult on those claims, advise you on drafting documentation, and in some cases maybe help you in getting the claim settled. And in fact, if you want to know more about claims in your industry, we'll again in those again like woven sacks or housewares, we will be happy to help what kind of claims you have settled. Right, claims very strongly believe it's the moment of truth, and we have settled claims in all departments, including employee benefits, property, marine, liability. Signature is our vertical for personal health and motor insurance of business owners and travel insurance. So effective claims management is our USP, and we assist you in settlement. We handle all types of claims, and our team is there to take care of right from drafting, documentation, negotiation with surveyors, settlement with all insurance companies. That all comes under our purview. Insurance manager. So we, with our industry knowledge, we give you wide comparison. We give you very competitive quotes. We have also custom-made products with our experience in the industry, like marine insurance, for example. There's what I say a draft or a khaka policy which comes, but there are more than 80 plus add-on covers which we give in marine insurance, which makes, including like mold, mildew, fungus, or shortage from seal intact containers, which ensures that the product becomes relevant for settlement of claims. With us, there is a lot of convenience to top management, because these are mostly promoter-driven companies, plastic. So they get the assurance that with my team, that we are in the safe hands, and I'm personally accountable for the entire operations of the company. And so with us, there's a lot of trust, there's a lot of confidence among the top management that the claims will be settled right and fast. There's a single window, there's a RM concept, claims right the first time, bundled services like value-added services, as we already discussed, like in property loss prevention, or we do safety audits, thermographies, valuation services. Right. So this is about insurance manager. With this, I hand over to Pratik to propose a vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Pramod sir. That was a very wonderful session. So on behalf of the InsuranceManager.com, I would like to thank all the participants who had given their busy schedule on this weekend. I don't see much of the questions coming in, but maybe possible there may be few queries or question which comes up later on also. Please do connect to us. We'll be more than happy to answer those queries in either over the call, or if required, we can have a meeting also in person. So if anything which comes up to your mind, or if there's any clarification which is required, please do connect with us. With that, I thank you once again, and maybe we connect soon for your requirement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pratik. Thanks, Mita, for making this wonderful presentation and arranging this. Prasad, thanks for the content. Thank you, everyone. Happy
Thank
weekend to everyone. Thank you so much for joining.